Here we go. Here we go.
There's Levon.
Hey, Levon.
With Steve Rother and the group. Our highest of intentions is to make sure that we maximize the experience for everyone that's attending the live. And that is, of course, by making sure that each and every person is heard and gets their questions answered. And so I'm going to be offering a couple of tips as to how we can achieve that. Whether asking the question prior to the live broadcast or during the live itself, please make your question is to give us all a space to deepen our understanding of the Light Master training material, additional courses that are available at steverother.org, and to help us apply it to personal and worldly events and matters that may impact our ascension into the 5D consciousness. With that, we do ask that if you have a question that's more technical in nature or customer service related, that you please direct those questions to support at steverother.org. And that is it for the tips on maximizing our collective experience. Thank you for joining us during this live. Thank you for adding your presence and your essence. Espavo, everyone. Enjoy.
Hi, everybody. Welcome today. Glad you're here with us. We have our normal issues with echoes. I think we fixed it already. So anyway, it's always fun. Every time it's a little bit different. So anyway, welcome today. We do have some of our favorite people with us. I want to say hi. We're going to be having Kathy read a lot of the questions. Hi, Kathy.
Hi, so happy to be here. And yes, doing things live is always fun.
Yeah, we always have a challenge at the last minute, it seems. So anyway, this time we actually tried to start 5 minutes early and we didn't get started until 2 minutes after. So we're okay.
So happy to
Anyway.
be here though and help everybody
Good.
with challenges, with questions. It's a great service and I'm happy to be here.
Good. Well, we got Debbie with us too. Hi, Debbie.
Hi, everyone. I'll be
Good.
monitoring that online, and feel free to send your questions in through that route too, and we'll get to those toward the end.
Right. Excellent. We do have a lot of questions here. We do want to say that thank you all for sending in your questions. We get a lot of questions. We get more questions than we can possibly do in a single setting. So please understand that. We try to combine some questions sometimes if they're all asking the same thing from slightly different aspects. And of course, we try to honor people who have questions that are going to benefit a lot of people. So that's kind of how we choose things here. We're not able to get to all of them. Thank you for understanding. If we didn't get to yours, it doesn't mean we've eliminated it. It just means we may have to wait till next month. So we'll try to figure that out and try to work with that. In the meantime, I'm going to go into channel because the group has some information that they have been waiting to release. So I'm very honored to be telling you this. There is some exciting news about planet Earth. I will share a little bit of that with you. They've been kind of letting me in on some of the things that are going on and what they want to talk about here today. We will also be working with this in detail in the next 2 Lightmaster courses. We'll be talking about all the details of what they're going to tell us here right now. So anyway, with that, I'm going to have a last hit of my coffee here real quick, and then I'm going to go into channel. So thanks for being with us here today, everybody. And I hope your weather is doing well wherever you are. I'm in Las Vegas. We are looking at 122 today. That is 50 degrees for those of you who are in Celsius. So we are actually looking for that as our norm today. It should go back down tomorrow, but today's going to be crazy. So anyway, welcome today. All right, with that, let me go into a little bit of a connection here. Greetings, dear ones. I am Observer. I join you with such pride today, for I watch from afar. I look at the large aspects of humanity and planet Earth and what is going on cosmically. I watch from many different aspects and love to bring you my observations. But these are simply a different view, and that's the most important thing to keep in mind. Today, we have some very interesting information to bring you. We will try to keep it brief, and we will tell you we will bring more of this coming forward, and more details are available in the near future. In the meantime, we think you're going to start seeing things on your news. We hope so. There'll be little bits of it here and there to start with. You won't actually see the full validation of what we're going to talk about for probably a couple of years. But there's some interesting things taking place with planet Earth. First, let us begin by reigniting and re-talking about the parental races that are here. Number one, you talk about ETs. Well, we use the word EDs because they are extra-dimensional to us. They have learned to be able to shift their vibration slightly to be able to actually live in a different dimension of reality. And it's very difficult for humans to understand that. You want to know if all the 11 dimensions that you live in are on the same planet or on the same place in the same area. It's very difficult to quantify it in your reality in different ways. But let me just simply say that there are no less than 141 different races of beings on planet Earth right now. Now, of those, many of those are simply not important. They're here as visitors. Many are simply looking at what's going on, trying to ascertain. Others are trying to see what they can use for themselves, what they can learn from the processes that are going on. Planet Earth is a very unusual planet. Almost everything that you see out there, because there are billions of stars, which are basically solar systems. We tell you there are billions of these that you know very little about. Now that you are starting to discover things with the James Webb telescope, you're starting to understand just how many are here. You have not begun to understand how many are there. So we're going to tell you that it goes much deeper than you understand. Now, as we mentioned before, there's one challenge that most people have. Most people that study the stars, astrophysicists, are very much aware that there are so many planets out there that there simply must be life, that just the sheer number, there must be other forms of life out there. And almost everyone who works with the stars agrees with that. What they don't agree with is how they get here. They know that nothing travels faster than the speed of light, and that's not quite true, but we'll just go ahead and go with that for right now. But basically, they say nothing travels faster than the speed of light. So how could something possibly entertain an capability of being here? And there's all sorts of theories that have popped up in your science fiction about warp drives and different ways of being able to encapsulate space and then travel inside that capsule. There's all sorts of interesting things, all of which are simply theory. The easiest way we can tell you this is they are shifting dimensions. And they don't actually live that far away. Most of them are living here on planet Earth. But they have a tendency to be able to shift dimensions and live in a whole different part of the world which you cannot see. You cannot feel it, you cannot hear it, you cannot perceive it in any way. Your own feelings, your own senses are a very small segment of what is actually there. We have illustrated this before, having to do with the electromagnetic spectrum. If you want to say that the electromagnetic spectrum is this long, your visible light, that which you can actually perceive with your own senses, is only about this big. Now, you know that there's ultraviolet, you know that there's infrared, you know that there's other X-rays and different things in this range, but you can only perceive certain things. What if you could actually live in those other vibrational ranges? Well, that's what happens with the EDs. Now, some of these EDs, 4 races of these EDs, are your parental races. They actually helped physically start planet Earth with the humanoids that are here. You've done it before as a group of beings. You're not new to life. You've been having life in different parts of the universe, but many of you came together in Mars and tried to make a go of it there for quite some time on planet Mars. Now, eventually it lost its ionosphere, and eventually it lost its magnetosphere, and as a result, seemed to sort of die out. Well, Mars is still there, but it doesn't support life in the way that you thought. Planet Earth was heading in this direction. The same thing was basically starting to take place. Planet Earth has gone through cycles before, where it goes through different cycles of heating and cooling. It's a fairly normal thing. You can look it up in different ways. But there's a big cycle that was basically stuck. And you had 4 parental races on your planet here that have been working with planet Earth to try and unstick this process. There's cycles that sometimes get stuck for one reason or another. This was a rather large one. You have underneath your oceans, you have something called the conveyor belt. If you look it up, you'll see it's a fairly simple process. It's the way that the surface water moves versus the water at deeper levels. It basically moves like a big conveyor belt, and it takes the heat from one area and it takes it to another area, and it takes the cool from that area and brings it to the heat area. And this does this in many different ways throughout planet Earth. It's on a very large cycle. Some of your cycles are as much as 21,000 years. But this is a shorter cycle, but we'll tell you it has been stuck. There's different reasons that this was not basically working in the way that it would. Now, would that solve your global warming? No, not really. There are things going on with global warming. But what we tell you is with this conveyor belt starting to move again, and it's at the infancy of this, they're still working very hard on this, but they have now made some headway with this conveyor belt. And you'll probably hear something about it in the news. You'll probably hear different aspects of it. What does it mean? Well, for the next several years, you're going to continue with getting the world hotter. It's like a huge freight train. If you try to stop it immediately, it's going to take a long time to stop, even if you slam on the brakes. So the reality is it's going to be continue on this cycle for a while. How many years? We can't really tell you, probably 6 or 7, where you're going to continue to set records for heating on your planet. It should slow down after 4 or 5 years, but we'll have to wait and see. Everything that humans can do to preserve energy, to preserve CO2, to work in different areas, to work with the planet, are absolutely huge at these points right now. More than ever before on your planet, which is why we wanted to tell you what has just recently happened. Now, there's different aspects of this, but this conveyor belt is starting to move. Will it ultimately reverse the global warming? Yes. The challenge is we try to not do it too quickly. The other aspect of this is when you reach that time where it starts to turn around, you're actually entering a new ice age. You're probably going to hear those words coming forward from your own sciences in the near future. Now, there's different aspects of an ice age. Some of the ice ages last for hundreds of millions of years. Others are fairly short. So, depends entirely on how it gets there and how it works. Again, if you are able to release the tension on planet Earth, the CO2 release, the methane release, all the different aspects that you've been working with and are able to work in harmony with the earth, that has a huge effect on the planet. That's a fascinating aspect. That it's almost as if you're giving her courage to do this. When she makes this change, it can happen very quickly, which is what we are trying to avoid. If you fall into a new ice age very quickly, it's going to be devastating. You will lose 80 to 90% of humanity. Very simply, you're not set up for an ice age. If it turns into a mini ice age, which is what we are shooting for, the mini ice age is something you actually experienced back in the early 20s, the 1920s. You actually experienced a mini ice age in Northern Europe, in Western Europe, and parts of North America. That might be very similar to that. And that's what we're hoping would be the end of the cycle. Then the conveyor belts can move again, and you can basically bring out a more neutral energy to where you don't have to swing to one degree and to the other. You have left the Holocene. The Holocene was a 10,000-year cycle of only 1 degree difference. There was 1 degree variance for 10,000 years. That allowed humanity to evolve. That is your space where you just exploded on this planet. Were you here before that? Yes, you've been here long before that. You've been here in different cycles in different areas. But these are some interesting things that are taking place. Now, we know that there's a lot of fear around extradimensionals or ETs. Dear ones, they have technologies that are far beyond your technologies. If they wanted to cause you harm, they would have done so already. Trust us. There are things that they are working with. These are some of your parental races. They want to see you absolutely explode. But since you are on the planet of free choice, it's different. And that's why all the eyes are on planet Earth right now, to see what's going to take place. So you have some news cycles that can be moving. We will tell you about that. Some of these will be very exciting. Some of these will be here. But you will start to hear these words, Ice Age and Mini Ice Age, more often. We brought it up several years ago. We talked about this 6 years ago when we first saw the signs of the potential mini ice age at the end of the warming cycle. And yet it was too early for most to understand. We are now speaking about it again because that conveyor belt has been stuck and it has now been freed up. There's a lot to this that we can talk about. A lot of it has to do with the melting of the ice caps. The ice caps contain pure water, not salt water. Salt water weighs differently than pure water, and you ended up with different layers of your ocean at different temperatures. That got this conveyor belt confused and stuck. And quite honestly, it's been working on different aspects of this for some time. It is moving again. And you will have evidence of this through your own sciences fairly soon. So with this, know that everything that you do with planet Earth from this point forward will have a huge effect on what takes place in a few years when it starts to turn around. If it turns suddenly, it's going to be drastic. You'll see everything from tidal waves, you'll see tsunamis, you'll see all the rest of it take place as this thing turns. That is not needed. And you can make a difference on this with what you carry right now. Sometimes the smallest things can make a difference. Now, when you're working with planet Earth, you're also lending your heart energy to her. So you walk down the street and you see a piece of paper on the ground that shouldn't be there. You pick it up. Did that really help the planet that much? Not really. But what really helps the planet is that she can feel your intent. And that is huge. This is a living, breathing, sentient being that you are walking upon. And all she wants to know is, are you on her side? Do you hear her crying? Can you work with her? That's all she wants to know. So even these small aspects of picking up a piece of paper can make a huge difference in the long run. So start with the small things. Work with this whenever possible, dear ones, because you can now make a difference more on your planet than you ever imagined. And there are massive changes coming at the end of this cycle. This does not have to be the story of Mars all over again. This can change now. There's a lot of attention on planet Earth throughout the universe. You're very special beings. You have no idea until you come home exactly what you've done and how you've worked with all this aspect. But we tell you, it's a magical time to be here, and you've done very well with all of it. So keep up the good work. Know that you're right on target, and know that we are here with you. We will bring you up to date whenever possible with different aspects of this, and we'll be going deeper into this energy and exactly what's taking place in the Light Master class. Espavo, everyone. Treat each other with the greatest of respect. Nurture one another at every opportunity and play well together. I am Observer, and now we will take some questions.
Okay, then. On to our first question, and comes from Aurora. Hi, Steve. In a prior lesson, you mentioned that the abundance tone is in the 250 hertz range. I'm interested in increasing my abundance by listening to these tones, and I'm seeking guidance on the best listening approach. Using the online tone generator, should I simply set both the left and right sounds to 250 hertz? Or would you suggest I offset one side by 2 hertz? Example, 240 hertz on left side, 250 hertz on the right side. If listening to 2 different tones, should I then switch sides after a set amount of time? Example, 250 hertz on left side, 240 hertz on right side. Also, how long can I listen to the tone each day without harming myself in case prolonged listening is harmful to my brain waves? Any guidance you can provide is helpful and much appreciated. Thank you.
Lots of questions in a small amount of time. Let us try to answer all of them if we can. Number one, there is no limit as to our harmfulness in how long you listen to these. It is simply a question of, are you still receiving it? Your brain does adjust. Number two, you talked about the frequencies. If you are going for 250 hertz and you are listening to 250 hertz, you put 250 hertz in both ears. If you are listening to binaural beats, then you want to change both of them. And that's what we suggest. We suggest that you play with this. In the online tone generator, which we gave you, it's very powerful. You can do several things. Number one, what we suggest is that you lower one side by 2 hertz and you raise the other side by 2 hertz and then play with it. See what that sounds like, because that will cause a resonance. Let's just say that this is the resonance that you're hearing. You'll hear that beat going on in your head. What is taking place? Your brain is going back and forth trying to decide which one to listen to. And it's actually picking up both of them because there is no vibration in those tones. But you'll hear a woom, woom, woom. That's the binaural beat. Now, if you move those frequencies to only 1 hertz difference instead of 2 hertz difference, you'll hear a much faster beat. So find something that's comfortable for you in the differences that you make, but make each ear different. Is there a need to change them at any point? No, your brain's doing that automatically. Your brain is going back and forth automatically. And that is one of the aspects of binaural beats that can help balance your brain in different ways. That was not available before. Now it's starting to work in a different level to be able to balance things in different areas. So that is one of the aspects that we suggest you try. There's another part of that online generator, tone online generator that we gave you, that you might want to listen to. And that is simply, it starts at a very low frequency and goes all the way up to a high frequency. If you listen to that, at certain points, it will seem to get louder for you. Note those frequencies. Those are your individual frequencies that you can use for a lot of things. And that is basically your physiology telling you, this is my tone. Bring me more. And listen to those tones. Those can help you in a lot of areas. The 250 hertz vibration is about abundance. It's a very simple way to do it. But again, abundance means something a little bit different for everybody. So the tones may vary a little bit. The frequencies may vary a bit. Don't be afraid to play with it. We hope that helps. Espavo.
Dear Steve and the group, for the past few years, I've been suffering from a skin condition I think is eczema. I have been treating it with oils, skin barrier creams, and a cream developed by a dermatologist. All of this helps, but lately it has spread and gotten a lot worse. I've been putting off going to a dermatologist because I really don't want to be put on drugs to treat it. I believe in getting to the root of an ailment and treating it as holistically as possible. I would like to understand the underlying cause and origin of this, as I am literally feeling uncomfortable in my own skin. It has crossed my mind that my skin might be reacting to world events and creating a barrier. I have also tried meditation and calming my nervous system. Can the group give me any insight and things I can do to help it? With great appreciation, Mary C.
Thank you, Mary. The reality of all of this is that you have to balance your physiology with the world around you. It's very challenging sometimes. Now, part of what takes place is you build up stress levels. Stress levels that we are concerned with often build up in the vagus nerve itself. The vagus nerve itself can carry stress. It is very difficult to release that stress. It is not common to release it. And sometimes it takes great effort to release and ground that stress out. And also to let go of the problems that are causing the stress. So those are some of the biggest challenges around it. The meditation, the creams, all the other aspects, they can help. But ultimately, you're going to have to get to the root cause of this. This is almost like an allergy. When you find the root cause of this, and it'll be different for everyone, that's the challenge about it. Can it be caused by bringing all the world events and holding them in your physical body? Yes, it can. But once you cross that boundary, you may need some outside help to get back in the same situation. So the things that you're trying may work very well. If they work for you, great. If they don't, I would take the next step. Sometimes your belief system of not wanting to go to a doctor or not wanting to use traditional medicine is misplaced, at least from our perspective. There's a lot of really good medicine that has been created. Yes, now many times what they do is the pharmaceuticals will go into the forest, they'll find the drugs that work, and they'll change a few things so that they can quantify it as their own and do it and then put it out as a drug. And many times there are side effects to all of this. But it doesn't mean the entire industry is bad. There's a lot of good things that can be received from the medical industry. You're at one of these here yourself. Many times the creams that you put on to resolve this situation can make it worse. So be very careful of the creams that you put on there. They can, once you flare it up, it takes a long time to settle back down and to ground out. That is what you're looking for. But I would do that. I do believe I do believe you have diagnosed it correctly. It is a very frustrating situation. And even with the drugs are not 100%, but we'll tell you that is one of the best opportunities to break this energy now that you've crossed this boundary line. The other part about it is to start releasing the stress. Figure out ways of de-stressing every single day, even if you don't feel like you're stressed. Those energies can help clear the vagus nerve, can help put you back to where you belong all the time. Be a lot more comfortable walking on planet Earth. We hope that helps. Espavo.
I understand that we hold energy by grounding and by our torus. I have 3 questions. How big can we expand the torus? Is it possible to cover the whole country? 2, which is better for grounding, staying in one place or moving around to several places? And can sight be one of the grounding waves? If so, how far can it be done? Always thank you for your teachings. Thanks, and Espavo, Sean Sin. And if you need me to repeat number 1, let me know.
Sure, let's repeat all 3 again, please.
Okay. How big can we expand the torus? Is it possible to cover the whole country?
Right.
Which is better for grounding, staying in one place or moving around to several places? And the 3rd, can sight be one of the grounding ways? If so, how far can it be done?
Excellent. Dear Sean, many aspects of this that you have been working with. You are a grand healer. You're trying to make a difference where you live. You're trying to set an energy into motion that you have gained tremendously from. So let us speak about your Taurus. Your Taurus is a very personal aspect. Can you expand it? Yes, you can. You can expand it to fill the room. You can expand it to cover your entire place that you're living. You can expand it to cover your neighborhood. Can you expand it to cover your country? Yes, you can. And every time you expand it, it has less effect. It's a very personal item. So most of the effect of your Taurus is going to be close range. The most effective aspect of your Taurus is at about 3 feet from your physical body in different directions, which is about the length of your arm. So if you take your arm and put it out, that is roughly the phrase of your Taurus that has the most effect. Can you expand it out? Yes, you can. Now keep in mind, if you expand it out in a room full of people, there may be other people that are intentionally moving their Taurus in the opposite direction and will not be affected by your Taurus. So when you talk about expanding your Taurus, the question becomes, what is it for? Why? And what is the purpose of it? If you're trying to influence other people with your Taurus, you can do that, but it's much easier to use something that'll travel further, like your words or your writings or even your actions. Your Taurus is a very personal, intimate piece. You can certainly use it in a group of people because very few people know how to use it. Very few people even know that it exists, but it's a natural part of your physical body. Now, I believe we've gotten 2 of this. We've missed the middle one. What is the middle one?
The middle one is which is better for grounding, staying in
Right.
one place, or moving around
And
to
then the
several?
sight. You can do both. The movement of your physical body and grounding the Taurus can do very well. One of the easiest ways to ground is to do something for you. So if you are moving to a place that you absolutely love, yes, it will help you ground. If you're moving to a place because you have to be there for work or because of some other reason or some situation, you won't be able to ground quite as much. So it's all about your energetics and where you are with that. Now, the last piece was about your sight. Can you ground with sight? Yes. Interestingly enough, men can do this easier than women. Men tend to be geared into sight a little bit differently than women are. They're wired differently. And so it is one of the aspects that you can do. You can hold a vision. On top of that, there's 5 different ways of channeling. One of them is clairvoyance. Clairvoyance is seeing an image. The people that are clairvoyant, whether they be men or women, because both can be that, the reality is they will always tend to hold everything as an image. So therefore, sight can have a huge effect with grounding. Does it have with everyone? No, not as much. A person who's claircognizant, like the keeper, will be able to see an image and be affected by it, but won't get quite the same energy as if he was clairvoyant. If he was wired as a clairvoyant, he would get images, he would get a lot more than what he gets. So there's almost like a wall that's there. So it doesn't work for everyone, but some people can easily ground through vision, through sight, and through images. We hope you answered your 3 questions. Espavo.
Our next question comes from Karen Taylor, and she has 2 questions. I'll read the first one, and that is, on my property, there is an area that is very strange. It's not very big, maybe only 1 or 2 acres, but every time I go there, I get totally lost. I've been there many, many times, and it always happens. Is there a portal there? If so, can I use it for healing purposes? I usually meditate and chant there, but is there something more to do, or should I just leave it alone?
You have actually helped to create the portal by meditating and chanting there. So your vibrations have basically opened a portal to another world. Now, there's different aspects of this. Number 1, a vortex is simply swirling energy. That's what happens when you meditate and when you chant. You create a swirling energy around you. That swirling energy can be picked up by other dimensions of time-space. And they can use it to communicate with you, to even move through it, to enter your world. You can actually use it to enter their world once you know how to work with the orthogonal matrix. And this is coming for all humans. These are the EDs that we're talking about that are all around you all the time. And most of them have very good intent. They're just like humans are. There's some of you that are wonderful people, and there's some of you that are not so wonderful, or that are focused in other areas. So we'll tell you simply that just because they're EDs doesn't make them superior beings. What it means is that they are here to help work with you in positive ways. So with this, we tell you the vortex that you have had in your backyard, wherever this is, that is exactly what happens. When you walk into a portal, especially a new portal that has recently formed, you'll get lost. The keeper has one right outside his window here. And there are times when people that are new here will be walking through his yard. He has rather tall bushes and trees and so forth that cover a lot of it. But there are times when people that haven't been here before will be walking, and suddenly they'll turn around and they'll lose their bearing. They literally will kind of go, wait a minute, I thought we just walked in here, but and they get confused with it. That is exactly what that is. That is a portal. So what we suggest is that you talk to whoever's listening. Someone in another dimension, or some being in another dimension, help to take your swirling vortex and turn it into a portal. Someone is listening. Communicate with them. See if they will communicate back. See what you can work with. And let us know. Espavo.
Okay, and this is the second part to Karen's question, which is, I recently had to euthanize my horse. I'm still grieving. Was he taking on some of my pain, or was it just his time to go? Thank you for your help.
He tried to stay as long as he could, but he was not able to stay. He's very grateful that you were able to euthanize him. He was in a lot of pain. Was he taking on some of your pain? Sure. You were taking on a lot of his. That's what happens. He shared it with you gracefully. Do not feel guilty about that, please. It wasn't the case. He was honored to feel and share your pain, the same way that you were honored to feel and share his. So know that his time was there. Even though he lives in you call the animal kingdom, the reality is it's the same multidimensional world that you live in. And there were 11 others besides, well, there's 10 others besides him. There's 11 dimensions plus the higher self makes the full 12. Well, we tell you that once 10 of them are ready to go, the 11th one gets pulled along. So he's been waiting. He's been waiting to find this perfect timing. He found it with you. You released him. Thank you for that. And all 11 dimensions were able to become whole. Well done, dear ones. Well done.
Hello, Steve. My name is Artemis, and I live in New York. Single, not married, no kids. Question 1, for my professional and personal success, happiness, and well-being, is it preferable to live in Greece or New York? Question 2, these are related. Do I need to move to Greece to take care of my parents, or are they protected by godly powers and they are able to take care of themselves? I visit once, sometimes twice a year, and help as much as I can. Mom has a lower back fracture, but she is functional. She has been through more than a few injuries and health issues. I get a feeling she is very tired, not patient with Dad, and gets agitated and responds negatively every time I suggest something. Looking forward to hearing what you have to say and suggest. Thank you.
Mom is on the downhill slope. She's frustrated. She will tend to take it out on anyone who will listen. It's very challenging sometimes. Please do not take it personally. Everyone goes through these situations where they become very frustrated that they're stuck in this physical human body and it doesn't work the way they want it to. That is a natural part of the evolution of humans. It's also changing as you go ahead and move forward. So in the meantime, your question was about you. Would you be better off in Greece or would you be better off in New York? Well, the reality is you like New York. So the chances are very good that you're going to end up staying in New York. Your parents live in Greece, which is one of the reasons that you return there or go there often. If you were not moving there to take care of your parents, you would actually do better in Greece. But that's entirely up to you. And does it mean you need to move to Greece to do that? No. You still have to branch out into your... You basically need to find your original spiritual family. And you can find them all over the world. It doesn't make any difference where you live. But if you haven't found your original spiritual family, if you haven't been able to connect with people in your locale in some way, or if you travel all the time, like the Keeper does. The Keeper is on planes all the time, traveling different places. He has original spiritual family in many places he gets to visit. So wherever the case, grounding with that original spiritual family is huge. What is an original spiritual family? These are the people that incarnated with you the very first time you incarnated. And you all held hands and came in together and experienced something. And then you maybe did it again and maybe did it again. And then one kind of drifted off in a different direction, another drifted off in another direction. And pretty soon you're incarnating all by yourself and you don't have all these people around you. Yet you will run across them. They will be friends. They may not be in your life the rest of your life, but they will be huge meaning for you in different ways. Watch for them. That is your original spiritual family. And if you were not simply tied up with moving for your parents, if that was not the only reason you wanted to move to Greece, you would actually find more of your spiritual family in Greece. But it's entirely up to you. You'll find them exactly where you are. Keep working at it. Espavo.
I have a peculiar question. In the early 80s, on a trip to Egypt, I was scheduled to tour the Temple of Karnak, and when it was time to enter, my body suddenly felt ill and I could not go in. I was told that had I entered, my body would have spontaneously combusted, but if I returned today, everything would be fine. Could you comment on this? I did find it odd when I immediately moved away from the entrance, I felt fine. Thank you for taking time with me, Yvonne Jackson.
You have had a history here. It's very simple. There are times, dear ones, where you run across places that remind you of things that you experienced in previous lifetimes. This is absolutely one of those. What took place was very simple. Would you have actually combusted had you gone in there? No, but your insides would have been so torn up you would have wished you would have combusted. The reality is you would have been fine if you would have been able to do that, but your body was bringing back all these memories from being in this enclosed space, in this particular area that you have been tortured in before. So it will do everything it can to keep you from experiencing anything of that nature again. And that's what it was doing. So the reality is, could you actually go through that particular surface again, that place? You probably could. With help from a few friends to help ground you, you'd be able to walk through it. But the reality is you have a memory now that has surfaced. I would explore that memory. Try to find out more of where that came from. Try to experience that. And all you need to do is to ask. Ask to remember it. And you'll either remember it in a dream, or you'll just wake up one morning and you'll have parts of it. You'll just know that that's what took place. It can be quite painful to remember some of those other aspects. We experienced a lot of this in inverse wave therapy as we were teaching it in different parts of the world. But you can change it by simply touching it, coming face to face with it. You are a conscious creator. You can change even your history and your past. It can be done. That's what we would suggest trying. Play with it and know that you're safe. Your body saved you from a lot of pain. Espavo.
Hello to everyone. I want to introduce myself. I started Light Masters in January of this year. It has really changed my life. I found Light Masters after Steve's first participation in Park Bench. Steve led us on a meditation where we climbed and left our bodies. At the end, he brought us to a clearing in a forest and said we would find what we needed the most there. I stepped into the clearing and it was people, many, many people, people I did not know, but people who loved me, cherished me, and accepted me. I have never felt love and acceptance that profound in my present incarnation. It was indescribable. When I felt that love, my heart opened up and I was able to reflect the love back in a way I have not been able to do before or since. I later consulted a psychic who told me it was all real. I asked if these were all people I knew on the other side, and he said many were, but there were many around me where I am now. He told me to look harder around me, but that there was a place for me online with a spiritual group. I thought about that, and then I joined Light Masters. I did try to sign up for a private session with Steve at a point when some were made available via a newsletter. I was in a hurry, and I expect I did something wrong because I've never been contacted. I would very much like to have a private session with Steve and to talk to the group, as I am at a huge crossroads in my life. I'm trying to find the courage to make the changes I need to make. Could you please put me on a wait list, or perhaps there are more appointments coming available soon? Any advice or help is appreciated. I have a Colorado address, but I am currently living most of the year in a small village in Mexico. I was drawn to the area. Thank you so very much for my lovely experience. Blessings.
Espavo, thank you. The Keeper has had some challenges with technology and booking his private sessions. He's working on it. There will be more sessions being made available very soon. He has been traveling a lot. He will not be traveling nearly as much in the future. So things are changing quite a bit here. Now, let us speak to you about what you experienced and where you are. You basically reached into your history and experienced yourself as a spirit. And that is very magical. Not easy to do, and it's different aspects of different places that you can work with. But you have basically found a place that understands you. You understand us when we speak to you in the Lightmaster group. You understand us as part of your original spiritual family. You see us in different ways, and hopefully you feel at home. Those are the huge parts that we wish to ignite in you. Each of you have a message of your own. Each of you have something you have brought to planet Earth. Our goal is to give you the confidence and the understanding to be able to do that, no matter how big or how small that seems to work for you. You've done a lot here. You awakened from the dream. You've remembered a lot of your spiritual family very quickly, and it did not scare you. Many people it scares. They open the door, they feel the energy, and they shut the door really quick. You're here. You've done a really good job with this. Well done, my dear. Well done. Now, watch for the things that you are to teach, because those will be coming next. The aspects around it are that you are very much a healer and a teacher. You'll delve with this a little bit to find out what works for you, but watch what you can share with others, because there are many aspects of this coming. We hope that helps. Welcome home, Espavo.
Once again, I thank you for answering my questions. In the mid-1990s, I moved to the foothills of Maine. My house overlooked the tops of trees. Every evening around 8 p.m., I would hear a soft rumbling sound over my home. At first, I ignored it, but began being nudged to look out the window, and I saw blinking white lights for about 30 seconds, and then they took off heading west. I figured out there was a portal over my house for ships and wanted to know they were there. Who were they, and where are they going every night? Yvonne Jackson, Old Lightmaster.
We love old light masters. Yes, you have a lot of energy around you. You should know that by now. Yvonne has been working in some of this area for quite some time, and the reality is you have drawn a lot of this energy to you. You have a portal, which is right where you live. You have created the portal. You did not move the portal there. You created the portal in this location. They come and they go. They work in different areas. They are aware that you are aware of them, but you have not communicated with them yet at this point. I would absolutely try to do that and celebrate it. When you hear that, know that you're actually being protected. There's quite an energy around you. They want the highest and the best for you, my dear, and that's why they're there. Enjoy the journey. and enjoy that little soft rumbling. It should put you to sleep at night with a smile on your face. Espavo.
Hello, Steve and the group. Thank you for this offering and for taking my question. I'm 55 years old and menopausal. For the past 8 years, since the onset of perimenopause, I've been dealing with multiple health challenges, including migraines and GI distress, that have been so debilitating that I had to stop working a few years ago. I was a Reiki master teacher and a shamanic energy healing practitioner for 15 years. Before that, I was a hospital nurse for 20 years. With this background, my health challenge approach has been very holistic. Migraine medication, as well as bioidentical hormone replacement, has improved things, but still not enough to improve my ability to work, mostly due to the migraines. I'm wondering if there is anything you can see in my energy field, leaks, weaknesses, etc., that needs attention, and how can I bring harmony to my system? Thank you, and blessings, Colleen.
There's many aspects of what people experience as migraine headaches. And there's also many reasons that can set them into motion. Once they are in motion, once they are grounded in your physical body, they all basically have the same type of effects, but the origin of them can be quite different. For many of them, they are actually allergies that push your boundaries and push your boundaries and push your boundaries, and then you cross a boundary that does not naturally reset within the body, because most of your systems will automatically reset themselves. Once you cross this boundary, it does not. There are different ways that you can find this. Number one, for yours personally, there are some things that you have used in your field that will help you if you can find them. In other words, you may be allergic to a bath soap. You may be allergic to a detergent you're using. You may be allergic to something that has prolonged contact with your skin. If you do dishes by hand, try changing the detergent you use. Try doing different aspects of that to see if you can find something. In your case, I do not believe it's something you're ingesting. Many people can ingest things that will kick this off. That does not seem to be the case with you. It is something with physical contact. Try to find that. The challenge about it is even if you find it and even if you eliminate it, it's going to take a little while to show up. So it's very difficult to say, okay, now I know what the problem is and we're going to start resolving it by staying away from here. You need to work with these and give them some time. Generally 14 to 21 days is what it takes to break an old habit. So let your body go a little bit. Try to find things that you suspect. And if you can find something that you suspect might be the problem, that's your spirit telling you that where the problem is. So try to follow those things first. Try to eliminate different aspects in things that you might be allergic to that are in contact with your skin. Now, it could also be a ring that you're wearing. It could be something of that nature. But it would be something fairly new, up to a year before you started getting the headaches. So literally, there's different things that you can look at through there. You have the history in the medical field. You have the history in the healing field because you are a vibrational healer as well. And that's the other aspect that I would look to use. Try to create your own sacred tones internally. This can be done through chanting, through meditation, through toning, through any aspect of that. There's also an online tone generator, which we shared with you earlier. We'll try to put that up here underneath so you can all see where the link is. That can also help you find your own sacred tones of your own signature vibration. Those are also things that can help you. Now, even if you don't want to use the tone generator, you don't want to go through those aspects of being able to listen to it, you can simply close your eyes and hum and raise and lower your voice until you find that perfect vibration that's perfect for your body. Work with that and try to reverse that process with the migraines. At the same time that you're looking for whatever it is that you're allergic to that is working with you in that area. And that is a lot of people that have allergies that turn into be migraines. Once you cross that boundary, you need some help getting past it. So there may be other ways of doing it. You know all the different aspects of it. You're working in those aspects. That's perfect. But I would try the toning. Try to find your signature vibration or as close to it as you can, and try to work with those energies there. That might help. Espavo, dear one.
Okay, our next question is about crossing the veil, and I'm going to read the whole thing first, so she's got several questions in it, and we can go back. Sure. Good morning, Steve. I have a few questions from session 1 and 2 of Crossing the Veil. Are ghosts just a negative energy imprint? Can the veil become thin, allowing us to connect to spirits on the other side? Can your spirit in veil make contracts while the other 11 are on Earth? Can you pick and choose the inputs you want to come to Earth with while traveling through the veil? I always thought the chakras were our light being divided into smaller pieces since they are the same colors as the prism. Are we further divided once we take on a physical form? As our higher self evolves and becomes bigger, does the veil matrix become thinner? Hippocrates described humors as the fluid of the body. The 4 humors influenced the body and the emotions. Geography also played the role on the body and its makeup. It's interesting that the group mentioned that humor helps us to see our spirit. Just an observation. I feel like there is a connection there somewhere. Big hugs, Renee. So, would you like me to go back to the beginning of that?
Yes, there's many questions in there. Give me the first 2. Give me the first 2, and we'll work with that.
Okay. The first 3 are really about, well, first 4, but I'll give you the first 2. Are ghosts just a negative energy imprint? Can the veil become thin, allowing us to connect to spirits on the other side?
Okay, yes and yes. What happens with ghosts, basically when you return home, your spirit has to return home. Now, you've also picked up all sorts of positive and negative aspects of yourself in different ways. If you are attached to any of these when you leave part of that behind as a negative imprint. And many times that's a ghost. Now, you'll find that people that do ghost hunting or talk to ghosts or do ghost clearing, there's usually something that the ghost is trying to get across. There's usually something they're angry about or something they're frustrated about. They're holding on to a negative emotion when they die. People that help people die, people that work with you in hospice, in hospitals, in different aspects of this, are some of the greatest healers on the planet for this very reason. If you cross the veil hanging on to some negative emotion, whether it be jealousy, whether it be anger, whether it be frustration, whether it be any form of those things, you will leave part of that behind as a negative imprint. Now, eventually it will settle, but it can be there for a very long period of time because the spirit knows no time. So the negative imprints can be there for some time. Those are what you call ghosts. Now, can they be cleared? Yes, they can. Is it easy? No, it's not easy. It's not nearly as easy as most people think it is. Because basically, you have to convince this being that they are gone, that they're just they're just a leftover imprint. And many times that doesn't work. But the idea is that you can, and you can release yourself from this. But that's what negative imprints are. Now, the second part of the question was, is the veil thin enough to be able to review with it? There are people born with a very thin veil. There are people that develop thin veils. Most people have thin veils, and they learn to pretend that it's not there. You learn this as children because you're learning how to be an adult. You're learning how to be a child. You're learning how to fit in different areas. So these internal voices that you naturally hear don't have a place in your outside world, so you negate them. You let them go. Many children grow up with imaginary friends. Are they really imaginary? The reality is most of them let them go very early on. So that is what this looks like from most people, is that they can develop the thin veil, they can communicate through it. Most people are born with it. Therefore, you can go back to your early history of working with that. In this coming month, we're going to be doing a seminar on healing the inner child. That is one of the areas that we're going to be working with, going back and finding out how you were taught to be a human and correcting some of those things that you were taught, very simply, to be able to work with that, because most of your imprints that you receive as an adult came from childhood, or at least have an origin somewhere in childhood. So these can be huge pieces, and the veil can be very thin at times if you remember how to do it. Okay, the other questions now.
Okay, let's see. Can your spirit in the veil make contracts while the other 11 are on Earth? Can you pick and choose the inputs you want to come to Earth with while traveling through the veil?
Yes and no. You make it sound like you are here on this side of the veil and you want to choose the imprints that you want to have here. That is not what happens. You are a spirit. You are a complete whole being. As such, you don't have needs. You don't say that I want to be born with a silver spoon in my mouth. You don't say I want to be born with it. You say, I want to learn this lesson. And maybe I can learn this lesson best by putting myself here or putting myself here or doing this or having these contracts. And some of them can be wonderfully positive and some of them can be wonderfully negative. Those are attributes of human vision, not of spirit vision. So you look at things differently. And yes, you do decide what attributes you're coming in with, what you're going to be developing, and what is going to be naturally in place for you as you start to evolve through that process. And there was one more we missed, one last piece.
Yeah, there's two. I always thought the chakras were our light being divided into smaller pieces since they are the same colors as the prism. Are we further divided once we take on physical form? And the other, as our higher self evolves and becomes bigger, does the veil matrix become thinner?
The veil matrix is becoming thinner for everyone, which is very confusing. It's happening at the same rate that you're seeing an explosion of technology. So you can compare it to what is happening on your planet with AI, with quantum computing, with all these incredible developments that are still right in front of you that you haven't really seen yet. You're going to see massive changes with that, the same way that you're going to see changes with the veil. Right now, you're looking in different directions. You're grounded in technology, but soon that will start to evolve into spirituality for you, and you'll see a lot of thinning of the veil everywhere. That can be very confusing at first, but it can also be very powerful in the long run. All right, was that it? Did we answer all of them, or was there another one?
I think the thing about the chakras.
The chakras, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, you have different factions, basically, refractions of the original white light that also come out of your chakras. So the chakras kind of give you a flavor of that. But each individual dimension has all of those chakras and all of those colors. The interesting part that you wouldn't understand at this point is that you cannot actually compare one of your dimensions with another. In other words, you may actually see red as one aspect here. You move into another dimension, it may be a slightly different color. Things work differently in each dimension. So it's very difficult to actually define, to say that red always means this or green always means this. Green's the heart chakra of the energy. Red is the root chakra. Do they always mean the same thing in everything else? No, they don't. They don't. So we will say that there's quite a bit of difference and a lot of things to learn as you thin the veil and start moving through your other dimensions of time-space. One other aspect about this, since we've talked so much about it, is that we talk about 11 dimensions of time-space. That is simply to give humans a grasp on it. The reality is it's a division of 12, not 11. Everything is in base 3, and the universe is in base 12. So you're basically in 12 different dimensions at once. The 12th dimension is your higher self, which connects you to home and all your other dimensions. Now that we've said that, you get a concept of what multidimensionality is about. And now we're going to confuse you even further to tell you it's not just 11. There's an infinite number of these 12 divisions. You're actually infinite beings. But that's very difficult to understand as a human. You're on the finite side of things. So we'll simply tell you there's 11 dimensions of time-space, all you experiencing something from a different aspect, and you can reach them through your higher self, which is huge. Good. One more question and we'll switch over to get some of the other ones.
Can we do two? Because I got two good
Sure.
ones. Okay. And this is also about the 11 dimensions. Dear Steve and the group, in the multidimensional healing course, the group talks about the 11 me's that each live in a different dimension. They say all 11 will be born at the same moment and all 11 will go home at the same moment. So what about suicide? My 32-year-old kind-hearted empath niece ended her life. We did not see this coming and were devastated. In her farewell letter, she wrote, in a short period of time, it got dark in me. So what happened here? Did the other 11 decide it was time to go home and she just went along with that? Or did she lead the others? Or how does this work? Thanks so much for shining a light on this. Warmest regards, Ingrid Hooper.
It's so difficult when someone leaves in that by their own hand because it leaves a wave of guilt behind. And it shouldn't, actually. Everyone has free choice on this planet, even free choice of whether they wish to continue to play the game. So please understand, from a spiritual perspective, there is nothing wrong with suicide. Now, if you look at it from the multidimensional section, it's easier to understand. You have 11 dimensions, all having different experiences. Over here, in her case, she's had one that has been dealing with different forms of cancer for almost 5 years, completely exhausted. She's had another one in different areas that took different things. Recently, she had one of them in a serious car accident that put him into a coma, not conscious, but the body is still breathing. All of these things are taking place in different areas, and suddenly she turns from this bright light to go into this deep, dark, internal secret, into this deep depression, and takes her own life. It was appropriate. It's very difficult to understand that because you see her as someone that you could have helped. If only she would have told you this, you could have talked it out. No, you couldn't have. It was basically her other 10 dimensions that were pulling her through that very quickly. There are times this happens very quickly. Sometimes it happens in childhood, which is very frustrating. There are times, dear ones, where a spirit actually takes a contract to come in and die as a child because you have 11 different imprints. So when someone crosses the veil, they leave an imprint that everybody feels. When someone crosses the veil as a child, that huge imprint is huge. Everyone benefits from that imprint. So thank her. Don't blame her. Don't think something was wrong that you could have fixed. Know that she was being pulled very quickly, very definitely, into leaving because her other dimensions had to go. She could not be supported in life any longer. And that's why she took her own life. Had she not done that, she would have walked out in the street, got hit by a bus, got hit by something that would have taken her very quickly. But again, she really never wanted to be a burden on someone. So this is what took place with her. It happened very quick. Usually it's not that fast. But the alignment of her other 10 dimensions are basically what pulled her through. Thank you for asking the question. Espavo.
Okay, dear Steve and the group, I have been following the group for a lot of years, but one thing really has me stumped, and that is the multidimensionality thing. Living 9 incarnations, or is it 12, simultaneously? I just cannot get my head around it. And if so, why that particular number? If the soul wants to have so many experiences, it may as well have 100 or 1,000. I always believed in reincarnation, but this doesn't jive somehow. Help, please. Thank you, Elizabeth.
We can simply tell you that the Keeper had a very difficult time understanding it when we first started talking about it. When we first started bringing this through in people, we would do it in a live session with people where we had people that could ask questions. And it was very interesting because we would put out the concept of multidimensionality, And you could see people just kind of scratching their head, not quite getting it, not quite understanding it. And about an hour later, all these questions would come in. Well, if that's happened, what about this? And what about this? What about this? And that's kind of what's taking place in many different aspects here. Is it possible for us to completely describe exactly what happens? No, it's not. The human brain cannot conceive many of these aspects. We have given you a story about 11 dimensions, actually 12 dimensions, because you're in multiples of 12. But the idea of that is that you can do it in many different ways. Now, as we've also said, the 11 dimensions can be multiples. You're actually an infinite being. So why not 100? Yes, you do that. Now, how does reincarnation fit into that? Well, there's an interesting process. You know, the keeper actually did a seminar where he did an exercise that was very similar to what you're talking about. He had everybody simply take these little index cards and they would write down some of the biggest events that took place in their life. Positive or negative didn't make any difference. Big events that put in their life. And they put those cards out in front of them. And by the time they ended up with all these cards out in front of him, he would say, okay, now you have died. You have gone home. This is your life. This is what you have experienced. It's part of who you are now from this day forward. But some of these items you're not done with. You need to figure out which ones you want to bring into your next lifetime and which ones you're finished with. And that is exactly what happens to the spirit. Now, does it happen in one dimension or does it happen in all dimensions at the same time? It happens in all dimensions at the same time. That's very difficult to understand, being on your side of the veil, on your finite side of the veil, where you see everything as a beginning and an end. It's a flow of energy. So, with that, the next time the spirit comes in, they've left all those cards that they wanted to re-engage. They've left those in the veil. So they come back through the veil, they pick up these cards and go, oh yes, I'm working on this. Oh yes, I'm working on this. And make this contract for this contract for this, and this contract for this. Not just one, but all 11. All infinite ones. So the reality is, it's much deeper than humans can actually understand. We can't even conceive the whole concept of infinity because we're on the other side of it. We get the idea that there's no beginning or no end, but we have nothing in nature that actually emulates that. Everything on our side of the veil is finite. So, with that, that is the best we can give you as to how that works. Reincarnation is absolutely real. You do decide what you're going to work on, what you're finished with, what you're not finished with. You make contracts for those. Sometimes you make contracts while you're still here to finish and to work with other ones. So those are the different aspects that you'll work with. And it's very confusing. We will grant you that. Espavo, thank you for asking.
Do you want me to keep going? I do have more.
No, we need to move on and give Debbie a chance to get a few here with her. But
Okay.
thank you.
Oh, sure.
And just please know, everyone, that we have many more questions coming in than we can possibly answer. So we'll try to do the best we can. If we get a lot of these coming in that we can't answer each month, we might go to 2 a month. We'll see. But there's other aspects we can do with that. In the meantime, we have Debbie, who's been monitoring the chat rooms here. Hi, Debbie.
Hey, Steve. Very interesting questions today and responses. We really only have one specific question so far in the chat that a gentleman had sent in. This is from Sons of the Light, and he wants to know or ask the group about why you never mention Michael anymore. Did they give up on him?
Interesting. In the very beginning of the Keeper's channeling, when he was channeling us, he asked us a lot about who we were, where we were from, what dimensions we were, whether we were aliens, whether we were spirits, whatever the case was. Again, it's very difficult for humans to grasp all of this. But what we told him was very simple, that we are from what humans call the angelic realm, and that in fact we are from the family of Michael. What is the family of Michael exactly? It's a purpose. It's an intent. Michael has been a huge part of the energy around everything that we have worked with. Now, the interesting part about it is if you look up Michael's history in the world that you live in was actually created by one of the churches. So the interesting part about all the aspects of the archangels and the cherubs and the different levels of angels that you have, all of those are human aspects, dear ones. The reality is many times we adjust to fit into your world. You have a saying, as above, so below. We have it kind of the opposite, as below, so above. There are times that we actually emulate you so that you can understand us. The entire aspect of what we called the Lucifer experiment was simply an experiment to try and show polarity in heaven, at home, so that you could understand us in a different way. Now, all of that was a wonderful experiment, playing roles, doing different aspects of things. But you humans are going to have to put human attributes on everything on our side of the veil, and they don't fit. We are much grander than that because we are complete. You are divided into 11 dimensions. Your perfection is hidden in all of those dimensions. Our perfection is complete when we come home. Does it mean we say everything exactly right? No, we have to come through an imperfect being too. There's times that he will misinterpret. There's times that he will misunderstand, as every teacher on planet Earth is. But the reality is we're whole, and we don't have those negative imprints or the aspects of it that we've worked with. We hope that helps you to understand a little bit of it. Michael is absolutely here. The purpose of Michael is to hold a higher truth. There's many aspects of that. Truth has always been held with a sword. In the very beginning of his work, the Keeper held a sword. He was called the Keeper of the Sword. And he traveled with that sword, Michael's sword, all over the planet. And until all of a sudden it got very difficult to travel with a sword all over the planet. But he did Sword of Truth ceremonies, which are all about Michael reaching your inner truth. It's not a religious aspect, can be very confusing, because the origins of the name Michael and the actual origin of Michael itself were from a religious context. We are not religious, but we are spiritual, and that's the most important part. We hope that helps you to understand a little bit of it. It is a difficult balance to walk. It is a difficult time frame to walk. But we tell you, a truth is a truth, no matter where it comes from. And that's why we say that we are from the family of Michael. Espavo. If that is all you had, we'll go back to Kathy and let her get a couple more of her questions in.
Nothing else came in, so back to Kathy.
All right.
Thank you all.
All right.
All righty. Okay, this is Dear Steve and the whole group. Can you help us by sharing some of the signs of the expansion into the fifth dimension? We all need things to cling to for hope in these dark times. Thanks, Lee Flynn.
The fifth dimension is very confusing for people because it is an entire realm. The entire realm is actually changing as you speak. It has been moving very quickly and therefore is very challenging for most people. They see rapid change everywhere. Humans do not like change. They like the status quo. So it becomes very difficult to grab hold of something that exists in the third dimension that also exists in the fifth dimension. Things will change as they evolve into it quite often. But the reality is you can look at everything on your planet. Everything is already changed. The question is, how do you perceive it? What we tell you is that the fifth dimension has been here. You're learning how to integrate into it. You're conscious creators. So every day you wake up, you put on your suit of clothes, you put on your bodysuit with your intent, you step out into the world projecting this person that you think you are, and you create the third dimensional reality inside the fifth dimension. So the idea has been to give you some tools to change with. The entire Lightmaster course that we are currently in, the 2500 series of Lightmaster, has been all about fifth dimensional tools. These are things that you can actually use that work differently in the fifth dimension than they worked in the third dimension. Were some of them in the third dimension? Some of them were. But then some of them work differently, and some of them have new keys that can unlock much more in the fifth dimension. It has to be slow. It's not a big door that you can open and suddenly walk in and you're living in the fifth dimension. You're living in the fifth dimension now, but you're using a third dimensional reality as your creation template. We're changing that by giving you new concepts, new ideas, new aspects of things, which is what our work is all about. Now we're getting ready to start a new level of Lightmaster, the 2600 series. When we do that, it will be about living in the fifth dimension. We've given you tools about fifth dimensional reality, about tools to live in the fifth dimension this last year. Now we're going to actually be talking about what is it like to step into this. How are your meditations different? How do things change? How do things work in reality? And we have to move slow. We cannot simply give you a list of all the things that are going to change. You would not be able to grasp that. But one by one, we can take them little bit by little bit, give you tools and things to work with, to anchor more of the fifth dimensional reality in your life every day. It does work. It is working. The challenge about it is you have to work it. You have to want it to proceed. And it's not easy. We'll tell you it's not even easy taking these courses. The Lightmaster course itself takes a stretch to keep up with. There are people that get behind in the Lightmaster course because it is very intense in certain areas. But if you just use what you can get, you start to anchor new fifth dimensional tools in different ways, which is what this work has been all about. Even if you don't come into Lightmaster, even all the focus events that we do are aimed in that direction. So those are the work that we try to work with, to try and give you new attributes, to anchor the fifth dimension. It's not easy. There's not a book that we can set that say, here's the difference between third dimensional and fifth dimensional. We try to share some of those things with you, but you're also evolving them as we speak. So when you reach a certain collective level, everything is there. We don't even need to teach you about it because it's right in front of you. Everybody's using it. But in the meantime, you all have to anchor little parts of it yourself before you can reach this collective vibration of moving into the fifth dimension. Once that is done, there will also be many people who call it something different. People like their different names. They like to classify things as their own. So there will be other teachers that come up that call it new things, new aspects of things. There's different ways of working with it. All of them can be valid. So know that things are different. Look at the differences that are happening right now. We tell you one of the most difficult things to change in your reality is your systems. You've built all these systems for a third dimensional reality. Guess what? Those systems aren't working anymore, are they? A lot of your politics has taken crazy turns. Your monetary systems are taking crazy turns. Your real estate is about to take a crazy turn. There's different aspects on your planet of things, systems that you have built inside the third dimension for specific reasons. Those now need to change in order to open up for fifth dimensional reality, and they change the slowest. So your systems are in the process of changing right now. We hope you enjoy it. Espavo, dear one.
Dear Steve, I'd like to ask the group why I am so emotional for every little thing. I cry during meditations, commercials on TV, songs on the radio. But I also have these negative thoughts that pop into my mind about others that are so judgmental. I feel like two different people sometimes. Any insight and guidance is so appreciated. Thank you, Glory.
You're more than two different people. You're a multitude of aspects that sometimes, one of the things that a couple different aspects. Number one, you have somewhat of a thin veil between dimensions. So you are able to pick up other aspects from other dimensions of time space easier than most people. In fact, it will be something that we believe you will end up teaching in the not too distant future. So that is one of the aspects. The other aspect is that you have what we call reverse eyes. The keeper has the same problem. And he said it was a problem. He has since adjusted to it. But when he started channeling, his shirt would get wet from all the tears. The reality is his energies would clear out so much that he couldn't stop crying. He had to learn how to breathe through his mouth and not his nose so that he could actually speak while he was crying. That's how he learned to channel. Now, over periods of 30 years, he's been channeling for 30 years, he's learned how to do it without crying, but he still feels it. Now, some of this is reverse because of the fact that typically you would cry when you are sad or had negativity. That's not why he cries. He cries when he sees something beautiful. He cries when he hears beautiful music. He cries when he hears something of someone who's stretching into the world and creating something magical of their own. He cries when he sees somebody doing something, it could be pole vaulting, it doesn't make any difference. When he sees someone reach their highest level of something they're trying to do, tears come to his eyes. He is reverse wired. Many of you are this way. And we told you in the very beginning of his channeling, it took a lot for him to learn to be able to actually get through a 45-minute channel or a 30-minute channel without completely wetting his shirt with tears. He's learned to do it just out of necessity more than anything else, but he still feels it, and it's still there. So number one, don't judge yourself. That is a very positive aspect of having reverse eyes. You can feel things and you express them. When you cry, you are seeing or feeling something beautiful. Now, you're going to have positive, negative thoughts all the way. You live in a field of duality. You're moving out of that field of duality, out of the third dimension, into a field of triality in the fifth dimension. We know the numbers are kind of odd. Don't worry about that. You are moving away from that as you evolve. But it doesn't stop you from wanting to have these negative thoughts about people sometimes. Sometimes you're going to have them. It's just a natural aspect. You know, dear ones, there are times, we've mentioned this before, where someone will go to sleep at night. They're a very positive person. They work in a positive energy. They may be a healer who helps people all day long. And then they come home and they have these horrible nightmares. And they may even be swinging and fighting someone in their dreams and so forth. They do that. They wake up the next morning and they're fine. They don't remember anything. That is what we call an energy balancing dream. And there are times when someone who is constantly seeing the positive side of life, who maybe make their living at seeing the positive side of life, has to balance their energy. They have to have some of that negativity flow through them in a non-harmful way. So they release it during the night, particularly in REM state of sleep, and pretty soon they're swinging and punching their pillows and hopefully not their partner. And it can happen, and it happens to a lot of people. You're experiencing the same thing, but not in the dream state. There are times you're going to have extremely negative thoughts about some people. Are they accurate? They could very well be. Doesn't make any difference. It's not your job to judge them. It's not your job to judge them even in accord to your interactions with them. The reality is, speak your mind. Speak on the level of which you are speaking to them right here, right now. Not the energy from a past life that may be settling in your energy field. Not a remembrance from some other time that you had together or some other experience that was a similar circumstances. So communicate on this level. Certainly take those energies in, certainly feel them, but communicate on the higher level because you have opportunities of reaching people at a whole new level of life. And keep in mind, you're a master teacher. Enjoy the journey.
Dear Steve and the group, thank you for reading and answering my question. I really appreciate your guidance and wisdom. I'm struggling to understand and cope with the sudden loss of my dear aunt, who was like a mother to me. Despite her health issues, she was not terminally ill, and her passing was utterly unexpected. With this uncertainty, I'm left wondering if the doctor's treatment played a role, especially since they couldn't provide any clear explanations. I feel so lost and my heart broken into a million pieces. Deep down, it felt like it was not her time. While I know I'll never get the answers I seek from the medical team, any wisdom or enlightenment from you, the group, or beyond would mean a lot and help me navigate this difficult grieving time. Perhaps it would bring me some sense of closure for her untimely departure. Thanks again for all you do, Espavo.
Thank you for asking the question. Your aunt crossed easily. We will tell you that. Once again, when you have 10 of your 11 beings ready to leave and all positioned to leave, they will literally pull that 11th person through very unexpectedly. Sometimes it'll be an unexpected car accident. Sometimes it'll be a heart attack. Sometimes it'll be a stroke. Sometimes it'll be a suicide. Whatever the case, it can happen very quickly. When all 11 dimensions decide it's time to go, they're pulled through. Now, was it not her time? It was her time as a spirit. Whether she was complete on planet Earth or not, we'll have to wait and see. She will complete it because she will have time to come back and finish whatever she wishes to do. She wrote it down on a card. She will pick up that card when she comes back through the veil. She'll know exactly where she needs to finish up. She's a wonderful being. But before we always talk about all of that, let's talk about the fact that she was originally to be your mother. The reality is that there was a miscarriage or an abortion here. We can't quite tell who originated it. But we can tell you that if you go back through her people that were around her, that she either had a miscarriage or an abortion in her life. And she has missed that child. You were that child. And in fact, you put yourself in a situation where you could still come in, even though you couldn't come in through your first choice of a parent. You put yourself into a situation, into a family line, where you would know that you would see her. And of course, she immediately took the position of your mother because that's who she was. The reality is she was your mother on many different levels. She's also around you a lot. You should know that you helped her tremendously to ground energy, and you completed a lot of her energy when she was able to be with you and actually be your mother. That was wonderful. She was overjoyed at being able to fulfill that contract, even though she made decisions not to. Interesting process. So you have different aspects of things that you can work with. These are wonderful times to be alive, dear ones. We know we still have a lot of questions going, but we're going to take one more for today, and then we'll leave for today because our 90 minutes is roughly up, and that is roughly the attention span of most humans. So we'll work with one final one to go with.
Okay, we're going to end this one with a bit of luck, which is a nice way to end it, I think. Hi, during June, Lightmaster broadcast about luck. Ilra said 150 bits per minute is the frequency of luck, and he played a short sound. Can you explain the science behind it and how we can use this for us and the students? Thanks, Mike.
There are different rhythms. Ilra is a rhythm master. That is his base. He works with rhythms. Personally, the keeper himself was a drummer growing up and have known Ilra many, many lifetimes. So the two of them work together in different aspects to do it. But Ilra sees everything as a rhythm. So when he is able to talk about 150 beats per second as being there, that's what he's talking about. Now, can you create that on your own? Yes, you can. You can also go into this online tone generator, which is about the third time we've mentioned it during this process. So we will put this in the notes below at some point. But you can actually go in and hit the clicks to find out what the beats are. We'll tell you an interesting process. There are sometimes the keeper has difficulties many people have a channeled mind where they can only focus on certain things. Many people have ADD, where they can only focus on certain things. And some people have ADHD, where it's very difficult to be able to spread their focus. The keeper almost has the opposite problem. When he works, he puts on the television over here. Sometimes he'll also put on the music that he likes over here, and then he'll work on a screen over here, but he'll also be working on a screen on the other side of the room. It is very common for him to divide his energy. That is not most people. But one of the things the keeper can do to help become effective at all of these is to put a bass beat behind it. There is a time when the keeper bought his wife a piano. She wanted a piano in her life, and he bought her a very nice baby grand piano. And he also bought her a metronome, which simply swings back and forth and gives you different time frames. Since she has passed, he has swiped that metronome and he uses it all the time. He sets an energy. When he has certain things to do, he'll set an energy for that metronome to be at a certain pace. And we'll tell you 150 beats per second is a very magical time to be there. That is when you can magically draw things into you. So there's ways that you can create this 150 beats per second. You can go to SoundCloud and actually do some research as to how you can do that. You can probably find things on YouTube with it. But we also tell you this online generator that we have is all free of charge. You can see the ads that pay for it there. But one of the things they can do is actually give you beats that can actually give you a rhythm to work with. When your body is working with a background rhythm, like we are doing right now, you basically will adapt to it. You will entrain your physical body to that rhythm. And that can bring about luck. Find ways of doing that. Find ways of working with it. Can I give you the scientific evidence of it? We can give you the scientific evidence of entrainment, which is a very interesting process. Entrainment is something that happens in physics. It also happens in your physical body. Entrainment is very simple. It was discovered by a gentleman who owned a clock shop. And he had these big grandfather clocks. He had several of them. He set them all to the exact same time so that they would all go off at the same time, and he would be able to hear all the different chimes in there. He was never able to get them exactly to go off at the same time. Finally gave up. He walked out of the room. He comes back the next day. They're all in perfect time. Why? How did that happen? That's called entrainment. It is a physics principle. When you have a vibration, other vibrations will copy that vibration and entrain themselves to that vibration. You can do the same. Ilra works with the rhythms. He will give you music with specific rhythms. He will give you words. He talks in a very awkward way because it's an unusual rhythm. He works with rhythms in a different way. But the 150 beats per second is a magical, lucky space. Find ways of producing that, play with it, and enjoy the ride. Espavo, dear ones.
Okay. Did you want to do any more, or?
No, we think we probably should leave at this point. Thank you, Kathy, for being here with us.
Thank you. I really enjoyed it, and there's some great questions.
There was good questions today. We will leave you with a final piece of the channel to let you know that you are all here by appointment. You made it. You not only made it watching this, but you've made it here to planet Earth. You're at a very critical time. We tell you the Earth is making some changes, and she needs you right now more than anything else. To lend your heart, to lend your energy, to lend your light to the evolution of planet Earth and watch the magic that takes place directly ahead of you. There are wonderful times to be here at this point. You are magical beings, each and every one of you. You've created incredible opportunities for all of us, and we thank you for that aspect. It is with the greatest of honor that we ask you to treat each other with respect. Nurture one another at every opportunity. Play well together in this new game. You're creating magic, and we love you dearly. I am Observer. I like to watch. Espavo.